Good morning, everybody. This is Professor Mead, your reluctant YouTube professor, and today we're going to be talking about graphs and their uses. Let's start today with where we are in the research process. We have defined the problem, reviewed the literature. So defining the problem means to ask the question. Reviewing the literature means to attempt to gain an understanding of the body of knowledge that's out there. So I like to say become an expert on the topic. We can select the design or formulate the hypothesis. These can be reversed. Sometimes you see the hypothesis first and then the design. So that is your research design and your sampling design. Your hypothesis, to create the hypothesis, to see how you're going to test it, and then to go out into the field and carry out the research. So we're in the process of both formulating the hypothesis and the research design, and then we're going to go out and collect data. So when we come back from collecting data, our job is to interpret the results. And we do so, and one of the ways in which we do so is to input it into SPSS and to do an analysis. So today we're going to talk about some of the most basic analysis, that being descriptive statistics, which will allow us to report the overall general findings of our research. So this is just another way of looking at the same steps. Identify, review, formulate, choose your method, collect, interpret, and disseminate. Within your modules, you should have all 4 of these videos connected. Please take time to watch these videos before you attempt to add your data into SPSS. It's a nice way to get started. Casually watch this, but try not to watch this while you're watching something else, like watching a football game and listening to the SPSS. You want to catch the nuances here. So even if I'm not asking you a question that directly you need to directly answer in the workbook, you will have that from the videos, but you also have additional information that you need to know when you go to complete your final. So you should have theoretically learned them within the context of the videos and then going through the workbook. But if you are not cautious about listening to the videos carefully, and you kind of move through it really quickly to get the workbook finished, you might miss the nuances that will help you then complete the work later on in your final. So just be a little cautious of that. You can always also come back during the final and re-listen to these videos again if you get stuck with the analysis that you need to do in the final. Okay, so graphs and their uses. So I kind of here always would, ask the students, what's the difference between a graph and a chart? Well, a graph and a chart is essentially the same thing. One is used in SPSS and the other one is used in Excel. That's the only difference. So we use the terms interchangeably today, but that is technically the origin of the difference. So we're going to talk about different types of graphs and when to use them and why. So the first one we're talking about here is a column chart or graph. It should be used when you want to compare frequencies. It's used best for comparing frequencies of different categories. So if you, for example, want to look at the number of voters by sex, the use of types of drugs, or the number of students in each major, looking at a column chart or graph, which is indicated by it going sideways and having distinguished markers in between, it's going to be the best way to visually describe frequencies and depict them for the person doing the reading of the analysis. So that's when you would want to use it the most often. It's when you're trying to give a comparison and show overall frequencies or percentages. That's when you would want to use a column graph or chart. A histogram or polygon is similar to a column graph, but you're going up and down and your bars are connected. They don't have a division between the two. So we want to use a histogram when we're trying to show groups of data, not just separate sections of data. When we are looking more to show the actual numbers or the percentages of data instead of just frequencies. and to see or show clearly how the data falls into each group, so how it's divided and falls into the categories. And you're able to, with most histograms, create your curve. You're able to add that in there through SPSS. And so when you have a normal curve, you're able to show it more clearly by the addition of where that curve is. Or if you have one that is not clear with just the histogram or the polygon, SPSS allows you to add in the line which shows where the curve is, which will allow you to see if it's skewed left, right, or centered. So a histogram overall is going to help you organize and display your numerical data, and it's to be in picture form, right? All of these are descriptive statistics. So they're statistics describing the data or the numbers that you want to use. Descriptive statistics is a fancy word for saying describing data, right? And so column graphs, histograms, pie charts, all of these are simple, straightforward describing methods to describe your data. So some of the things that it's useful for, right, is to show how close or far your values are from the mean. So it doesn't just show the mean, but it also shows the standard deviation, which is really important because without the standard deviation, sometimes just the numbers or giving a mean number, an average number, can be misleading, right? So you can say 20 is the average age, but you don't know that everybody in the class is 19, 20, or 21. But you can also say 20 is the average age for a class that starts at 10 years old, and you know, the youngest person's 10 and the oldest person is 30 or 40, and so 20 can still be the average age or the mean age, right? So when you have a histogram, what it allows you to do is to clearly picture for your reader your standard deviation as well as your mean, where your center is, and how many and where your outliers are. So this one that I'm showing you doesn't have an outlier. If you had one little bar or something way on the outside, so say for example, everybody in the class is from 18 to 25, but you have an outlier because you have a student in there in college who's 10 years old, that's an outlier, right? So it's going to show that one outlier, and that one outlier often will pull the mean in a direction. So you can have one very wealthy person who pulls the average income of a community up, right, the mean income, one really young student who would pull the mean age of students in a class down. A line graph. So this is used when you want to show a trend in any type of data, because you're going to see how the trends move through time here in this case, right? So number of students, this theoretically, right? Number of students who get sick per assignment due each week, change in attendance over the semester, and number of students who travel over Thanksgiving break versus number of students who do not travel over Thanksgiving break. So what this would allow you to do is to show how the data is changing for these three different categories over an equal interval, in this case January through December. A pie chart. So a pie chart should be used when you want to see the proportion of the item that makes up the series of data points. So it's really great for things like budgeting and numbers, right? To see clearly what portion of your money is going towards food, what's going towards bills, what's going towards savings, what's going towards your car payment, what's going towards entertainment or travel, right? So it's going to show you portions in comparison to the whole, which is pretty awesome. And then, of course, this is the favorite pie chart that I like to show. This is the silver part is the portion of the pie that I have eaten, and the rest is the portion of the pie that I have not eaten. Oh, by the way, pie charts are really great for not just numerical interval ratio data, but also for nominal data. So sometimes when we have nominal data, we don't have very many options for descriptive statistics or other types of analysis, but they do work really well with pie charts as well. Okay, so video guides for how to enter surveys. These are also located in Canvas or Dropbox for your convenience. Please watch all of them. They will both help you through the workbook and also help you complete your analysis at the end. And I believe this is the end. It should be the last slide. So I hope this helped you. A nice little simple review of descriptive statistics and visual aids and graphs for descriptive statistics. Have a wonderful day.